Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Reporter's Notebook. For those of you who've never watched Reporter's Notebook before, it's one of my personal favorite segments we get to do where towards the end of our days, we get to bring in some of our coworkers in here to the digital studio, sit down and just chit chat about, the stories they covered today and dive a little deeper into what it's like to work in a newsroom, here at WNCT. So today I'm joined in the studio by Victoria Holmes. Hello.
Hey. It's Friday.
I know, I was just about to say that. How are you feeling on this Friday?
I am feeling fantastic. Earlier this week, I was sick as a dog.
Yes. Oh, that second COVID shot.
It was the second COVID shot. I mean, it really got me.
Oh, no. Yeah. You and a lot of our coworkers kind of got your second shot at the same time. So there was like 2 days where just everybody felt horrible, and I felt so bad.
I am still recovering. I got it on Tuesday, and it's Friday. But that means that I get to sleep in tomorrow morning. So
there you go.
What I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to this Easter weekend? Do you have any plans?
No plans except church. My mom watches this, so I gotta make sure that I tell her I'm going to church. Yes, Mom, I'm going to church. So besides church, usually Easter weekend is spent with the family, but because of work circumstances, adult life, living and stuff like that, I'm staying here. But I already have a trip kind of planned home for May. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So now I have I'm going home in a month and a half, something like that.
You have something to look forward to as it gets warmer because
exactly.
It was warm. Oh my gosh. The beginning of this week was beautiful. And then today I'm like, what happened?
Yes. And tomorrow, Saturday is supposed to be cold too, but Sunday it's supposed to be 70. Easter Sunday is supposed to be pretty good. So
good day for Easter egg hunting.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
It's like at least one day of the weekend. If it's warm, I'm fine. And next weekend looks so warm. So
good. Yeah, that's all I need. That's all I need is some sunshine to get through my day.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and dive right into the story that you covered today. Literally. Yeah. Kind of a play on words there. You did a story about some research that's being done here on the East Coast about rising sea levels. And so you talked to some scientists, some experts, some researchers about this study. They're doing it all up and down the East Coast, not just here in North Carolina. So talk to me about some of the things that you found today by speaking to these experts and scientists. What's going on the North Carolina coast?
So I talked to Dr. Ree Corbett. I think that's how you say his name. There's always that kind of like Corbett and Corbet when it could be, like the French kind of pronunciation. But he's the dean of the Integrated Coastal Studies program at ECU, which is their campus on the Outer Banks, which seems like a super, super cool program.
Yeah.
And I had no idea about it until we got the news release from ECU about the study and how he was one of the researchers on the study. So it's not just ECU, it's multiple campuses, multiple universities, like Rutgers University was one of them, and basically what they found was that the sea levels have risen the past 100 years. Like that level has doubled compared to the prior 1900 years before that. So it's a study that looked over the past 2,000 years from year 0 to 1900. Sea levels were rising pretty significantly, but they weren't anything compared to what happened within the past century, where in that 1900 years, it doubled in just the past 100 years.
Is this something that people should be concerned of in coastal communities?
Yes. A short answer, yes. So at the point of the study really was to look at the rate of the rising sea levels and then kind of try to predict what the trajectory will be for the next 100 years. And then these studies can help influence decisions that policymakers are making, that businesses are making, that housing development communities are making, just so that people can get a better understanding of, hey, if we build this, housing development here, these homes might be underwater, or at least the water might be in their front yards within 50 or 100 years. And so that's something that the scientist that I talked to today was very adamant about having these studies and having them available to community leaders and to the public so that people can understand, when there's going to be, let's say, that there is a vote on some sort of housing authority saying, we want to expand to this area. Well, then if they're using community money to expand to that area and then 50 years it's all going to be underwater, what's the point? you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just having these studies, making them available to people, making them accessible to people so that they understand in the long term where these coastal communities are going to be, and then also trying to make it influence policymakers' decisions about the kind of laws and the kind of protocols that they should be placing now, so that 50 years from now, we're not kind of dealing with issues that we could have been prepared for.
Definitely. And in your study, you talk about, or in the study, it talks about how New Jersey is one of the fastest rates of some of these sites experiencing sea levels rising rapidly. What was the census of North Carolina compared to some of these other states on the East Coast? Are they looking just as bad, or are we kind of doing a little better than some of these other states right now?
Right. So the study was looking at several factors in when it came to the rising sea levels. And so there was like local components, and then there was regional components, and there was global components. And so basically, North Carolina fares pretty much the same as the other sites, even though New Jersey was the one that had the most rising sea levels, and that's, I believe, mostly due to the local component. But overall, sea levels are rising at a rapid pace, and that's due to the global component. That means the ice caps are melting, and the ocean waters are getting warmer, you know? And so that's something that has really influenced the rapid increase compared to, you know, the previous 1900 years, where sea levels were kind of, they were rising, but they weren't rising at the pace that they had been within the past 100 years, which has been pretty significant, and that's most likely due to, you know, human causes, you know, population expansion, people having, you know, just communities growing, and people using electricity, and people using gas, and some of the things that we use every day that we don't understand really has a significant impact on our world until it's too late. Does that make sense? Like, we're seeing those effects now.
Yeah.
As much as I really appreciate technology and the things that we're doing, there's definitely more efforts that could be made for some of the stuff that we have to be more sustainable. And it's Earth Month, so it's like we can have these conversations, or we have a reason to kick off these conversations right now.
Definitely. And I have some of the graphs and statistics pulled up here that you have in your story. And I mean, just looking at this, even if you're no scientist, just looking at this, I mean, it's very obvious that over the past 2,000 years, just within the past 100, those numbers have skyrocketed. And that is just astounding to me. I mean, because you and me earlier were discussing, because we've heard about Italy for years and years and years, that the city of Italy is sinking. The city of Venice, is sinking, not the city of Italy. The city of Venice is, sinking from those sea levels. And they're saying, couple hundred years, that whole town, that whole area could be totally gone. And so now seeing that translate over in America, and seeing these studies being done, and especially right here on the East Coast, it's just amazing that, this really is, global warming is real, people. It's happening. It's here. And this is a big effect on all of our lives. So I think this is super awesome that you were able to cover this. And because like you said, this study is really about the future, and making plans, people being able to make plans in the future, and knowing what to expect on the coastlines with businesses and other things like that. So
right, yeah, and this is also kind of right up my alleyway. Next week, right now, WNCT is running a series of reports called the State of. So we've had the state of the economy, we've had the state of farming, and so my state of package is going to be about the environment. So I also talked to someone who was the director of North Carolina Coastal Federation, and he oversees this nonprofit group that is run by about 1,600 or 16,000 volunteers, something along the lines of that. And so I talked to him about the state of the environment on the east, on the coastal region, especially since COVID hit.
Yeah.
So that's already I've already done the interview, and we're editing it now, and you can see it next Thursday. And of course, it will live online.
Yeah.
But you'll see it first on air next Thursday.
Yeah. So definitely be sure to stay tuned for that, for kind of some more in-depth information about what's been going on in the environment over the pandemic. Me and Victoria will also put a podcast together for that, for some more in-depth information about her story and who she got to speak to about the environment. So stay tuned for that, and check out Victoria's story on this study of sea rising levels. Victoria, where can they check that out at?
WNCT.com in the online originals tab.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a wonderful Friday and an even better Easter holiday weekend. We will see you guys next time.